Saturday, 5th July, 9041. Aryans and Russians, necessity of the mailed fist in Russia, deterioration of soil. What we need is a collective view of people's wish to live and manner of living. We must distinguish between the fascist popular movement and the popular movement in Russia. The fascist movement is a spontaneous return to the traditions of ancient Rome. The Russian movement has an essential tendency towards anarchy. By instinct, the Russian does not incline towards a higher form of society. Certain peoples can live in such a way that with them a collection of family units does not make a whole. And although Russia has set up a social system which, judged by Western standards, qualifies for the designation state, it is not in fact a system which is either congenial or natural to her. It is true that, in a sense, every product of human culture, every work gifted with beauty, can be born only of the effect of the constraint which we call education. The Aryan peoples are peoples who are particularly active. A man like Kreml works from morning to night. Such and such another person never stops thinking. In the same way, the Italian is as diligent as an ant, bien inflexible. In the eyes of the Russian, the principal support of civilization is vodka. His ideal consists in never doing anything but the indispensable. Our conception of work, and then more of it, is one that he submits to as if it were a real curse. It is doubtful whether anything at all can be done in Russia without the help of the Orthodox priest. It's the priest who has been able to reconcile the Russian to the fatal necessity of work by promising him more happiness in another world. The Russian will never make up his mind to work except under compulsion from outside, for he is incapable of organizing himself. And if, despite everything, he is apt to have organization thrust upon him, that is thanks to the drop of Aryan blood in his veins. It's only because of this drop that the Russian people has created something and possesses an organized state. It takes energy to rule Russia. The corollary is that, the tougher a country's regime, the more appropriate it is that equity and justice should be practiced there. The horse that is not kept constantly under control forgets in the wink of an eye the rudiments of training that have been inculcated into it. In the same way, with the Russian, there is an instinctive force that invariably leads him back to the state of nature. People sometimes quote the case of the horses that escaped from a ranch in America, and by some 10 years later had formed huge herds of wild horses. It is so easy for an animal to go back to its origins. For the Russian, the return to the state of nature is a return to primitive forms of life. The family exists, the female looks after her children, like the female of the hare, with Ali the feelings of a mother. But the Russian doesn't want anything more. His reaction against the constraint of the organized state, which is always a constraint, since it limits the liberty of the individual, is brutal and savage, like Ali feminine reactions. When he collapses and should yield, the Russian bursts into lamentations. This will to return to the state of nature is exhibited in his revolutions. For the Russian, the typical form of revolution is nihilism. I think there's still petroleum in thousands of places. As for coal, we know we're reducing the natural reserves, and that in so doing we are creating gaps in the subsoil. But as for petroleum, it may be that the lakes from which we are drawing are constantly renewed from invisible reservoirs. Without doubt, man is the most dangerous microbe imaginable. He exploits the ground beneath his feet without ever asking whether he is disposing thus of products that would perhaps be indispensable to the life of other regions. If one examined the problem closely, one would probably find here the origin of the catastrophes that occur periodically in the Earth's surface.